Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Anda sedang menonton agenda Awani dan malam ini isu yang tidak pernah kita lupakan, isu yang sentiasa kita perhatikan, iaitu tentang keadilan untuk masyarakat sedunia, terutamanya apa yang sedang berlaku di Gaza dan di teping barat itu tidak dapat kita terima kerana itu merupakan satu kegagalan dalam perjuangan untuk mencari keadilan. Dan malam ini ingin saya bincangkan perkara ini dengan lebih dekat kerana terima kasih kepada mereka yang memperjuangkan keadilan. Kita ada Suruhanjaya untuk mendengar, mendapatkan keterangan saksi, mengumpulkan bukti tentang apa yang sedang berlaku di bumi Palestin. Dan oleh itu kita ada dua tamu yang menjadi saksi kepada apa yang akan dibincangkan. Dan sebenarnya bukan saja tentang Palestin, tapi ada juga tentang kejadian 9/11 ataupun 9/11. Sebelum itu saya ingin memperkenalkan yang paling hujung di sana adalah adik Mahmud Samuni. Dan kalau saudara-saudari masih ingat lagi, perkara itu begitu lekat di hati kita ketika operasi serangan Kaslet yang dilakukan oleh tentera Israel ke atas Gaza, yang menyaksikan ribuan orang terkorban dan beliau kehilangan berpuluh-puluh ahli keluarga beliau. Oleh itu saya ingin minta izin berbicara dalam bahasa Inggeris. I would like to welcome my special guest for today, which is at the very end, Mahmoud, and then there's Jenny and Derek. All of them are key material witness for the hearing on Kuala Lumpur War Crimes Commission on Palestine, and also there'll be a discussion on 9/11. But maybe I'll just get Mahmoud, if you can say a few words to the camera.
I am Mahmoud Samuni. I am from in Gaza.
Okay, I will get Derek to tell us about Mahmoud, because what happened to Mahmoud is why we're having all this hearing, because we don't want that to happen to anyone around the world.
Well, the Zamuni case itself is one of the most horrific cases that you will actually find in any war. Mahmoud's family were all rounded up, put into one building, and the Israelis blew the building up while everybody was inside. These were all clearly civilians. And things like this should not be allowed to happen, and if they do happen, somebody should be held accountable.
Yeah.
And this is what the War Crimes Tribunal is about. It's about holding people accountable to their actions, so that people cannot just freely do as they will and have no consequences for their actions.
Mm-hmm.
So in this respect, with the Zamuni case in itself, Mahmoud lost most of his family in one day, and the Israelis refused to allow paramedics or any emergency aid workers in to rescue the bodies for 3 days. So you had a case where they were actually lying in the rubble with the dead people for 3 days and were refused, and the paramedics were refused access. This is one of the most horrific crimes you'll actually ever hear about. Mm-hmm. And to see the strength of these people, they have built their houses back up, they have tried to move on with their lives, but they are still living in constant fear of the Israelis, the Israeli attacks and everything else.
And over the last few days, the latest barrage of bombing and attacks, Jenny, because you and Derek, you live in Gaza, you're not just talking about this from an armchair, from somewhere safe. You have witnessed this yourself. If you can share what really has been happening for the last maybe 48, 72 hours.
The last 48 hours, there has been huge escalation in the violence, in the attacks perpetrated on Gaza, but it has never really stopped. I mean, most people think that after Kaslet and until maybe the last attacks, that nothing happened in between. Gaza, because we live in Gaza, we know Gaza daily is under attack. Yes, the last 48 hours have been harrowing. I mean, the escalation has been huge. There are almost 200 people. In the last count, there was almost 200 people injured. There's at least 13 dead, 3 of which are children, 1-year-old, 2-year-old children. Their bodies have been burned with the types of weapons that are used. The bodies are coming into Al-Shifa Hospital burned. The attacks have been constant, you know, and even before this escalation, every day there are attacks in Gaza, or there's threat of attack. It's a psychological warfare as well as a physical warfare. Constantly we have drones overhead, F-16s, sonic booms. Just you live on this knife edge of not knowing if you're the next target, when the next target is, when the next airstrike is, and it's been watched. I mean, because of the internet now, the whole world is watching this, and still it's been allowed to continue. There is no justification for the rest of the world allowing this to continue when we all can see it on our screens.
That's why I want to go to the rest of the world. Sadly, the rest of the world have to look at it through what's available. And we do know that what's online, and sometimes it's according to a lot of sources and a lot of sites. So from your point of view, because if I look at the Hurriyet Daily, you know, they even say 19 has been killed, and there was this picture of somebody being, you know, pulled out of what was once a house, but now I guess it's just rubbles around. So how do you see the fight to get information out, for example? Because if I read some different portals, then I would like to think, yes, there were rockets sent into Israel. It's only Israel's right to go out there and hunt for the people responsible, for example. Derek.
Well, the Western media in particular is controlled by Zionist influence. It's very much so. And you hear, on the media, you will hear about rockets being fired from Gaza, but you rarely ever hear of Israeli attacks. And on a daily basis in Gaza, there are attacks. And the thing is, they will attack maybe a car or a motorbike, but you can be an innocent civilian walking by, and when this attack happens, and be killed. And this is actually what happens a lot of the time, is it's innocent people that are killed as well. This rarely ever hits the media. And because of that, it's very one-sided. The story that most people get is very, very one-sided. But if you actually go on the internet and search, which is hard for a lot of people, I understand, but if they do search, they will actually see the true figures of what's actually happening with Gaza and Israel, and then they would get a much better picture. But most people, like you know, will just turn on, they know their favourite channels and watch the news on that, and that's it, and believe what they see.
So I have to go for the first commercial break, and then we'll let Brother Mahmoud rest, and I'll continue with Derek and Jenny, especially because you live in Gaza. Maybe one way to look at it, forget everything else that we read. It's always, for me, especially as a journalist, it's always the first-hand account that gives me a lot more detail. So I'm just going to go in the second block of life every day in Gaza. You've said a bit about it, but maybe go a bit more into the psyche, because we have to paint this picture of what it feels like to live in this place called Gaza, that if you read history books from before, it's such a wonderful place, but now it's like a living prison on earth. That we'll discuss after this short break.